Hello, fellas and ladies. Festivals are all wrapped up. We are weeks away from the season officially beginning, so I might as well do one last Best Picture prediction video for the Oscars, and before, the Globe noms and Critics' Choice noms come out. I've seen a good chunk of, what I'm going to talk about today, so, that's the difference this time around. Also, we've got a whole lot of disqualifications. I didn't do one in October. No, that's on me. But we got some stuff that's, hitting the road. Queer. I love you. You're kicked. Joker Folie 2. You're a historic failure. You're kicked. The End. I fucking tried. I didn't realize you were going to be fucking mid. You're kicked. The Piano Lesson. You're kicked. Night Bitch. You're kicked. Hard Truths. I like you a lot. Unfortunately, you're kicked. Maria. You're kicked. The Life of Chuck. We found out you're next year. So, for the time being, you're kicked. Let's start off with the top three, the ones that are battling out for the victor. Anora, The Brutalist, and Sing Sing. Anora seems like the smartest bet at the moment. It's clearly not slowing down in terms of momentum. Mikey Madison's looking really solid for an actress win. Sean Baker's looking really solid for a screenplay win. But then you go over The Brutalist. Adrian Brody's pretty much locked in to win. And Brady Corbett's looking like really solid for that director's slot. But then you got Sing Sing, which is in a different position, because Coleman Domingo's not looking really good for a win. Clarence Macklin's looking like he's in a good position, but he's not, I don't know if he's a front runner. And then Screenplay, I would say that's a front runner to win at the moment, but it feels like, it's beatable. So I'm a little conflicted on what to do with what's winning. I think I'll decide while I'm editing. I think I'm leaning towards Anora and Sing Sing, to be honest, even though I think Brutalist is going to win the most. I do think Sing Sing and Anora might be what I'm leaning towards. But I digress. I think it's pretty obvious that those three are getting in, as is Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, and Conclave. Dune Part 2 is not going anywhere. Warner Brothers is, shoving Denis Villeneuve down people's throats. I think it's easily going to get, screenplay and director this time around. I mean, it got screenplay the first time, so there you go. That's proof. And I think it's going to get pretty much all the text it got last time, except for score, only because it's disqualified. And I think it's pretty simple. I think it won't win as much because now there's other tech juggernauts, but it's gonna get the nominations. Dune's in. Emilia Perez is in an interesting position because I'm sure if you're in the same circles that I'm in, you've seen the people who are really not into this movie. I like this movie, however, I have in time started souring on it. However, it's obvious that the industry's gonna go for it, and I think once it hits Netflix, audiences are gonna go for it. It did really well at TIFF. It did, it got 2 prizes at Cannes. Acting is going to go along with it. Director, Jacques Audier's probably going to get in. Got a bunch of texts it might get. It might be one of the most nominated films of the year. Maybe even the most, if we're being honest. It's going to get in. Conclave is going to happen. However, Conclave is in an interesting position because I don't see it as that strong. Even though it's just solidly in. I don't think it's going to do that well below the line or even above the line. There are its nominations I'm pretty secure on. But I don't know. I don't really see Conclave as a top 5 player as a movie duking out for the win. But it's doing well at the box office for what it is, of course. Audiences are going for it. I think industry are going to have an easy time going for it. Ralph Fiennes is guaranteed to get nominated. Screenplay is going to get it, could even win. I don't know if Edward Berger is going to get nominated for director, but, this movie is going to happen. After that, honest to God, it gets a little dicey. I'm of the opinion that there are 2 movies after that I'm also really confident in. One of them is A Real Pain. I think most people are kind of catching on to this, that A Real Pain seems really solid. I had just seen it, there's a review out now. I think the biggest thing that people have with A Real Pain, the issue that's kind of stopping them from calling it a lock, is the obvious. Its nomination haul is not amazing, which is fair. That said, I think this is so clearly Searchlight's top priority. I'll talk about Complete Unknown in a second, but But at this rate, Eisenberg's going to get nominated for screenplay. I think we all agree on that. And Kieran Culkin, I think most people are actually catching on that he could win. I don't know if I'm fully there yet, but we all agree he's getting in. So I think A Real Pain is gonna solidify itself pretty soon. It's hard for me to definitively put 10 movies above it. 6, sure. 10, I don't know. It's such a great movie. It's such an easy movie to fall for. Jesse and Kieran are gonna be on that campaign trail like crazy. It's easy to go for. I think it's like, it'll survive the fact that its nomination haul is so weak. The other movie that I'm, like, really confident in is Saturday Night. And I know me saying that is going to result in people going, what? No! Please! Yeah, I'm so fucking confident in Saturday Night. What are you going to fucking do about it? I'm aware of what its issues, like, going for it are. I understand that its box office is not ideal, and I understand that the critic reception is also not ideal. They like it, but, like, it's not that great. But, like, everyone I talk to who's seen it, like, in my personal life, loves it, and if they haven't seen it, they're, like, interested in it. I know people who have no interest in Saturday Night Live or, like, this era, and they were still really, like, falling for it. I'm hearing industry screenings are going really fucking well for this movie. The movie has a better haul than people are giving it credit for, like, tech-wise and even directing-wise. I think this movie's at least getting score. That feels pretty certain. I think screenplay is gonna happen. Here's my thing with Saturday Night. If the Globes happen and it doesn't get its 4 nominations, then I'll start panicking. Those 4 nominations being Comedy Picture, Comedy Actor for Gabriel LaBelle, Screenplay, and Score. If it misses just one of them, or it just straight up misses Picture, then I'll start panicking. If it misses Picture at Globes, then yeah, pull the cord. I mean, remember Maestro last year? Me neither. But basically, it was a movie directed by Bradley Cooper about Leonard Bernstein. And basically, critics weren't that into it. In fact, I think reviews are a little worse than Saturday Night's. Audience reception was much worse than the critic reception. Actually, audiences outright rejected Maestro. And it did really poorly on Netflix when it came out. Like, it never even made the top 10 on Netflix. It still did really well because it appealed to the industry. And I think that's just clearly what's going to happen with Saturday Nights. I'm not married to it. It's not a lock. I'm more confident in A Real Pain. But I also think, like, when we look at what's left in this competition, in this lineup, it's like we're going to have to start making some sacrifices. And I think Saturday Night kind of makes sense to put in, like, a weak lineup. Is it in the back half? Sure. But I think it's, like, strong still. After that, I got Blitz, which has worse reviews than Saturday Night. I think we've all heard, like, what's a problem with this movie. That said, I have seen the people kind of like, whoa, what an accomplishment when it comes to Blitz. This is one of the only ones I haven't seen yet, as are the next couple that I'm going to be talking about. I think everyone can agree that this movie is at risk, but there is something still pulling it into that 10 lineup. It's got Tex, it's got, Saoirse probably going to get in. I mean, a lot of stuff gets removed once the movie goes. If anything, the movie's not really reliant on the text are reliant on the movie. I do think there's a shot this movie does miss, but I get the vibe that it's baity enough. Like, it checks the boxes. It'll get in anyway, despite the fact that, like, a lot of people probably aren't gonna see it, and, like, a lot of people aren't gonna, like, love it. I don't get the sense that audiences are gonna fawn over it. That 10th slot is so tricky. So, I have Gladiator there for one reason, and that's I already had it in. It has reactions, and apparently it's pretty good, but it's not, like, fantastic, and that's an issue with an action sequel. If I didn't have it in already, I would not put it in. It sounds like Denzel Washington's gonna get nominated. It sounds like Tex are gonna, like, get nominated at least. That could be enough for, like, a strict number 10 in a weak lineup. They aren't, obviously Dune Part 2 is right there, obviously wiping its ass with Gladiator. Another big action spectacle sequel with a lot of sand in it. There's also a bit of an elephant in the room with Nickel Boys. I mean, it's getting raves, Nickel Boys. That's something. I kind of wanted to postpone this video till next week, because I see Nickel Boys and Gladiator next week, so that would have given me a better idea. Maybe I'll post an update after I see them both. But right now, I think I'm going to stick with Gladiator, only because Nickel Boys is in an odd position where I think, like, critics have to go fucking ham for this movie. And they might. I'm not saying they won't. I just don't know if they will. The first-person aspect could easily divide some audiences and industry people. I heard it, like, packs a punch, but apparently also at the same time, the nomination haul is not amazing, although it's, like, apparently it's, like, good enough. Some people are gonna clamor on and say, well, Zone of Interest was experimental, and, that still got in. Fair point. But to add on to that real quick, Zone of Interest, when those reactions came out, it was just fucking flourishing like holy goddamn shit. With Nickel Boys, you got a lot of that, but you don't gotta look that far to find the people underwhelmed by it. I don't think audiences are gonna like this movie, or maybe I'll watch it next week and, be like, oops, never mind, yes they will. That's my thing with Nickel Boys. I kind of want to wait and see it, but I also pretty sure I buy it more than I buy Gladiator. Realistically, I need to take Gladiator out. but there's something, a mental block with Nickel Boy, so I just need to see what I'm dealing with here. Complete Unknown, I think, probably the last movie on this list that nobody has seen. Well, I've heard, no critic has seen, I should say. There have been some tests that have gone really poorly for Complete Unknown. Like I've heard, like, it might be, like, a bad movie. That's not good. I don't think that's survivable. I know people are going to clamor on and say, what about Bohemian Rhapsody? Look, I don't think that's the nature of Bob Dylan to get people, like, jumping up and cheering. That's just not the nature. I don't know, maybe even Timothy could get snubbed at the end of the day. Maybe that's something I've been blind to. I don't know. I think Complete Unknown is not on the right track. I know the reactions are going to come out and be like, oh, wow. What a triumph. Timothy can win. And then, like, it's going to get, like, a rotten score. And again, I don't think it's survivable. I don't think Complete Unknown can survive mid. And I'm like, it's probably going to be, like, at best mid. I don't see a world where a lot of people are going, you know what the best movie of the year was? A Complete Unknown. Challengers, I actually want to really look at this one because I think it can make a comeback. Listen. When you look at it from a basic standpoint, it's nothing that, like, you know, non-accessible about it. Guadagnino's having a good year. Everyone agrees on that. They're not going to go for queer, but they can go for this. I do wonder if it can make a small comeback. I don't think it would get a lot. It could get, like, score, editing, screenplay. I don't know if it would get actress, but it could. I do wonder about a comeback for this movie, and I want to see what that campaign trail is going to look like. Wicked is another kind of elephant in the room. A lot of elephants in the room. They're not even elephants anymore. It's just a zoo. Wicked is very much on track to make lots of money. And of course there were reactions this morning. I think we all agree they seemed a little bit of, like, fluffy. But I've heard it's actually really good. That said, I don't know. I don't think the reception is going to be so good, like, that it just gets it anyway. You know, you got your text. I've heard Ariana Grande might make an actual play for the nomination, but I don't know how much I feel about Wicked, even though I do think it's pretty inevitable. It's gonna squash Gladiator. It's gonna do really good below the line. I think Ariana Grande could do solid. Like, maybe. She could also get nothing. I want to wait and see. I want to see when more reactions come out. But, you know, alright, my eyes are open. The substance, I'll be brief because I have a whole video about it. But very basically, there is some reasons to be optimistic right now. There is some goodwill. But in my opinion, all the goodwill of that will go directly to Demi Moore. I think that the movie is still a lot for a voter to take in. It's very gross. You know, let's not go too far with the substance. September 5th, another elephant in the room. This movie got a lot of noise, kind of, but also not really, at the festival, at Telluride, really. Actually, it went to Venice and just nothing, not a peep. I think this movie, the more I hear people seeing it, are just like, not really. Its nom haul is nothing. I just think that it was September 5th was fake news. I think the timing is just off. Obviously, no fault of the filmmaking team, but, you know. I'm not seeing September 5th happening. Like, I just don't. Seed of the Sacred Fig, I think that's kind of, like, done in a way, but, you know, I can maybe picture a screenplay nomination, so I won't fully say no. The Apprentice, I thought could be a thing, but it's just kind of fizzled into nothingness, and I think it'll just, you know, be fine with its acting nominations, or, you know, maybe just Sebastian Stan. I still think he's definitely happening. I don't know, maybe I think they'll see it, and, you know, maybe some people will be into it, but I'm not really buying it anymore. Wild Robot, I mean, look, it's an animated movie. If game changers like Spider-Verse, if, like, auteur-driven masterworks, like Boy and the Heron and Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio can't happen, I don't see what this movie has over them. All we imagine is light. I have wondered if critics can go out of their way for it. My guess is no, but, you know, if they do, I do wonder how far that can go. Maybe Pio Capadia could sneak her way in. Fire Inside is so interesting because I saw it at TIFF. I liked it quite a lot. And I was thinking, like, what if it, you know, what if? But then it kind of just boom, 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 gone. Maybe it comes out and people are like, hey, I like this movie a lot. You know, it has the Oscar bait. It also has, like, genuine stuff you can nominate, like Brian Tyree Henry. I'm hopeful, but I am also, like, you know, realistic here. Furiosa Mad Max Saga, I'm only really mentioning because I have it in a couple texts, and I do secretly wonder if Chris Hemsworth can make a comeback. But I am, like, I know this is not getting nominated for Best Picture. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where I'm like, can I make a case? Sure, but I know it's not getting it. Same if you go for The Room Next Door. I see some people still kind of clamoring for it, and I just don't see why. Other than the Golden Lion win, which kind of means nothing. It's a jury prize. It doesn't have the prestige as the Palme d'Or, which is, I know it's also a jury prize, but like that has a lot of like heft to it. Unlike the Golden Lion, which is like, all right, good for you, but fuck off. I totally acknowledge that I like it less than most. But like, I think Tilda's kind of done. I think the score was never gonna happen, and like, let's just face it, the reviews are not great. And like, what, Almodovar is gonna get in for his first movie for one of his mid movies. Say what you will about Saturday Night, at least the director is like a multiple Best Picture nominee. Nosferatu, I lied. There is one more people haven't seen, but at the same time, you know, monster movie directed by Robert Eggers. I'm hoping for the best, but you know, let's be realistic here. I have some faith. Here's the thing: I think it's gonna fuck. But are we really gonna be in the scenario where it's Nosferatu is just too good to miss? I don't think so. As much as I'm excited for it. Jury number 2, apparently it's like pretty solid, but like Warner Brothers is barely releasing it, and also like they've shown that they can skip Clint Eastwood if they don't care enough. So I'm just gonna... No. I was gonna kick it, but I was like, alright, there's some good buzz for it. I'll keep, like the littlest squint on it. You know what I mean? And that is it for Best Picture. I'll maybe update it next week when I see Blitz, Gladiator, Nickel Boys. I'll update it on, like, my good friend Brother Bros app, Awards Expert, if you want to see if anything changes. You know, that's where you'll find it. But until then, I'll try and get more prediction videos out before Globes. Also, obviously, got to predict that. So that's going to be a little sticky, but, you know, I'll try my best. Like, subscribe, and share. Okay. My beard is so big now. I need to get rid of it.